Hello everyone! Welcome to my channel, Bachelor Nation News fans. Sandra Mason was gushing after meeting fan-favored contestant Gary Levinston during the Golden Bachelorette's finale taping. Though sparks didn't exactly fly, the beloved Golden Bachelor alum couldn't contain her excitement about the event. Mason, 76, shared on Instagram, "What a great show! I'm so happy for my sweet friend Joan and her handsome beau, Chalk Chapel. They were positively glowing." It was truly a gift to get to witness so many amazing moments of this season's The Golden Bachelorette and widen my already amazing golden friends, she said under the pic with Levinston. Eamon Holmes berates Meghan Markle's new Netflix show. Mason attended the finale to support her pal Joan Vassos, 61, who got engaged to Chapel during the emotional After the Final Rose episode. While there, Mason met Livingston, one of Vassos's former suitors. Bachelor Nation fans quickly flocked to Mason's post, teasing her about how adorable she and Livingston looked together. However, Mason was quick to clarify, "I really enjoyed the few minutes we had together," calling Livingston a nice gentleman and hinting at the possibility of getting to know him better in the future. In true Sandra fashion, she later posted another playful photo with Livingston. "Anybody know what this guy's name is? Is it George? Jean? Gregory?" she joked, before saying Gary. Fans didn't hold back with their excitement, tagging Vassos to orchestrate a reunion. Mason welcomed fans, saying, "I want everybody to make new friends with a diverse bunch of people from all over the country. So enriching and sweet. We are all having the time of our lives. Thank you at The Golden Bachelorette ABC for bringing us all together and letting us shine." Mason was eliminated during week 5 of Jerry Turner's season of The Golden Bachelor.
Below the horizon in the picturesque paradise of Tulum, painting the sky in swirls of pink, orange, and gold. Golden sands stretched endlessly, kissed by gentle waves, and the faint aroma of salt mixed with tropical flowers filled the air. It was another dreamy evening for the Bachelor in Paradise crew, but for Sandra, tonight promised something different, something she hadn't expected. Sandra adjusted the strap of her sun-drenched dress as she walked along the shoreline. Her heart felt lighter than it had in months, a rare feeling for someone who had lived under the constant scrutiny of cameras and tabloids. Her time on Bachelor in Paradise had been filled with fleeting flings, fiery arguments, and heartbreaks that left her wary of love. Yet tonight, there was a spark of anticipation she couldn't ignore. She spotted him before anyone else did, Gary, the Golden Bachelorette herself's charismatic lead, striding down the beach with his signature confident smile and easy charm. It had been years since she last saw him, and yet he hadn't changed much. Maybe the camera lights had faded from his world, but that magnetic aura remained intact. Sandra's breath caught. She hadn't expected to feel this way. Her heart thumped wildly, and a blush crept up her cheeks. She was never one to gush openly, but seeing Gary in person, laughing with that effortless warmth, stirred something undeniable. "Gary," she called, her voice breaking slightly with nervous excitement. He turned, eyes widening in recognition, and his grin broadened. "Sandra, wow, it's been a while." They met in the middle of the beach, waves lapping gently at their feet, and shared a light, slightly awkward hug, one that hinted at familiarity but carried the weight of years apart. "I didn't expect to see you here," Sandra said, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Neither did I," Gary replied, his gaze softening, "but I'm really glad I did." The two walked along the shoreline, letting the waves touch their ankles, carrying the tension and anticipation away with the tide. They reminisced about past seasons, the whirlwind of rose ceremonies, and the drama-filled nights that had defined their reality TV journeys. But beneath the lighthearted conversation, there was an unspoken electricity, a connection neither of them could ignore. Sandra laughed, a sound that was both melodious and genuine, as Gary recounted a particularly awkward date on his season, complete with a misfired serenade and a flaming dessert incident. "You've got to be kidding me," Sandra gasped, covering her mouth. "I saw that episode. You actually set the dessert on fire?" Gary chuckled, a deep, infectious laugh that made Sandra feel as though the world had narrowed down to just the two of them. "I did, and it was glorious chaos." The evening grew darker, the sky now a deep violet with stars twinkling above. The rhythmic crash of the waves was the perfect backdrop as they shared more personal stories they'd never aired on television. Gary spoke about the pressures of being in the spotlight, of living life under constant public gaze, and Sandra found herself opening up about the same struggles. "I never realized how exhausting it could be," Sandra admitted. "Everyone expects you to be perfect, to always smile, to always be ready for the camera. But behind it all, you're just human." Gary nodded, his eyes reflecting both understanding and something more, something Sandra couldn't quite name yet. As they stopped walking near a cluster of palm trees, Gary turned to Sandra with a seriousness that made her heart skip a beat. "Sandra, I've got to be honest. Seeing you here tonight, it's made me realize how much I missed connecting with someone who really understands." Sandra's breath hitched. The honesty in his voice, the warmth in his gaze, made her feel exposed yet completely safe. She had spent years defending her heart, keeping it shielded from both cameras and suitors alike, but Gary had a way of cutting through the barriers without even trying. I feel the same," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't think I'd ever feel this way again, but here you are." For a long moment, they just stood there, the world around them fading into the night. The waves crashed softly, the moonlight shimmering on the water, and time seemed to pause. Then, almost instinctively, Gary took Sandra's hand. It was a gentle gesture, yet it sent electricity coursing through both of them. They smiled at each other, a shared understanding passing silently between them. No cameras, no scripts, just two hearts finding a rhythm together after years of solitude. Later that night, the production team had arranged a small beach bonfire for the cast, a casual gathering under the stars with music, laughter, and cocktails. Sandra and Gary arrived together, their hands brushing occasionally, a subtle spark igniting with each touch. The other contestants mingled, sharing stories and toasts, but Sandra and Gary found themselves gravitating towards a quieter spot by the water. "I'm really glad this happened," Gary said, his thumb gently stroking the back of Sandra's hand. "I didn't expect to meet someone like you tonight, someone who makes me forget everything else." Sandra felt a warmth spread through her chest. "Me neither, but I'm really happy it did." They talked for hours, sharing childhood memories, travel dreams, and even the silly guilty pleasures that never made it to TV. With each word, each laugh, each lingering glance, the connection deepened. The world of reality TV drama and scripted moments melted away, leaving just the raw, authentic bond between two people who had finally found each other. As the fire crackled and the night grew colder, Gary pulled a light blanket around Sandra's shoulders. "Here, you'll need this," he said, softly. Sandra leaned into him, savoring the warmth and the moment. "I think I could get used to this," she murmured. Gary smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Me too, Sandra, me too." By the time dawn broke over the horizon, painting the beach with soft pastels, Sandra and Gary were still talking, wrapped in the shared blanket, their hands intertwined. The world felt quiet and peaceful, like it had paused just for them. Sandra thought back to all the heartbreaks, all the times she doubted love, and realized that tonight had rewritten everything. Gary wasn't just a familiar face from reality TV. He was someone who saw her, truly saw her, in a way few ever had. "And to think," Gary said, squeezing her hand, "this all started with a chance meeting on a beach." Sandra laughed softly. "I guess some things are meant to be." And as the sun rose, casting golden light across the water, Sandra couldn't help but feel that something extraordinary was beginning, something real, something worth gushing about. In that golden hour, with the waves whispering secrets of love and a horizon glowing with promise, Sandra realized one undeniable truth. Sometimes paradise isn't just a place.
As Sandra walked
it's
back to her villa later that morning, wrapped in the afterglow of their beach conversation, she couldn't stop replaying the moments in her mind. She remembered her time on Bachelor in Paradise, the rose ceremonies, the late-night whispers, the tears shed over fleeting romances that never lasted. Love for her had always felt like a game, a combination of strategy and performance. Yet tonight with Gary was different. There were no cameras looming, no producers prompting questions, no pressure to act or react. It was raw, it was real, and it was terrifyingly beautiful.
Sandra thought about the first time she'd watched Gary on Golden Bachelorette. His charm had been undeniable, but she'd always assumed someone like him, someone who seemed to have it all, was untouchable. Now, standing next to him on the beach, she realized that the man behind the TV persona was just as human as she was. Vulnerable, kind, and surprisingly grounded. She smiled to herself. Maybe this was exactly what she had been waiting for. Someone who could see past the facade, past the glitz, past the drama, and connect with her heart. The production team, sensing chemistry between Sandra and Gary, arranged a surprise challenge, a treasure hunt across the island. The contestants split into pairs, searching for hidden clues that would lead to a secret prize, a romantic dinner under the stars. Sandra and Gary teamed up naturally, their hands brushing as they navigated the tropical paths, laughing at their missteps and teasing each other about silly mistakes. "Watch out for that crab," Sandra warned, pointing to a sideways scuttling creature. Gary jumped back, laughing. Okay, I surrender, but I think you're secretly enjoying this." Sandra grinned, feeling the tension between them ease further. "Maybe I am." Their teamwork was effortless, a blend of playful banter and genuine connection. When they finally found the treasure, a beautifully decorated table set on a secluded cliff overlooking the ocean, they couldn't help but pause, taking in the breathtaking view. This is perfect," Sandra whispered, awe in her voice. Gary took her hand, looking into her eyes. "Not as perfect as this moment with you." The wind whispered through the palm trees as they shared a quiet, intimate dinner. The stars reflected in Gary's eyes, and Sandra felt herself melting into the warmth of his presence. Of course, paradise never stays drama-free. Back at the villa, other contestants began to notice Sandra and Gary's closeness. Whispers of jealousy and speculation spread quickly. "I didn't think Sandra had it in her," one contestant muttered, eyes narrowed as they watched from a distance. "Gary, really? He's Golden Bachelorette royalty," another complained. Sandra overheard the comments, but chose to ignore them. She had learned long ago that the opinions of others couldn't dictate her happiness. She focused instead on the man sitting across from her under the moonlight, who made her laugh and feel alive in a way no one else had. Later, Gary noticed her distant gaze. "Hey, you're thinking about them, aren't you?" Sandra shook her head, smiling softly. "I'm just thinking how lucky I am to have this moment with you." Gary reached across the table, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Then let's make sure nothing else distracts us. This, us, deserves our full attention." That night, they returned to the bonfire, where most contestants had gathered for drinks and music. Sandra and Gary found a quiet spot slightly away from the crowd, sitting close enough to feel each other's warmth. "Gary, I have to be honest," Sandra began, voice trembling slightly. "I've been so afraid of being hurt again, of trusting someone, of letting myself feel." Gary held her gaze, his thumb tracing small circles on her hand. "I understand, more than you know, but I want you to know that I'm not here to play games. I'm not here to hurt you. I just want to see where this can go." Sandra's chest tightened with emotion. She had never been so nervous, yet so sure of someone at the same time. "I want that too," she whispered. They leaned closer, the fire casting dancing shadows on their faces. And then, in a moment that felt both inevitable and magical, they kissed. Soft, tentative at first, then deepening into a promise of something more. The night sky above was vast and endless, but in that moment, Sandra and Gary felt as if the universe had narrowed down to just the two of them. By sunrise, Sandra awoke to the sound of gentle waves and Gary humming softly nearby. She watched him from where she lay, the sunlight painting his hair in shades of gold. He turned and smiled at her. "Morning, beautiful." Sandra's heart swelled. "Morning? I can't believe this is real." "Neither can I," Gary admitted, sitting next to her and brushing sand from her shoulder. "But I do know one thing. I want to explore this. With you. Honestly, fully." Sandra nodded, feeling tears of happiness prick her eyes. "Then let's do it. No scripts, no cameras, just us." And with that, they embraced, letting the morning sun wash over them, the promise of a golden romance just beginning to unfold.